I walked in with a spare key, caught my buddy's girl cheating, he forgave her, then kicked her out. My friend asked me to stop by his place and grab a few things because I had a spare key, and no one was supposed to be there since his girlfriend worked that shift. When I pulled up, her car and a truck I didn't know were in the driveway. I took pictures of the plates and walked in with the spare key. She was half dressed on the couch with a guy I had never seen. She froze and grabbed a blanket. I snapped a few pictures, turned around, and left. I sat in my car, took a breath, and called my friend. I told him what I saw. He went quiet. I said I had photos. He told me to meet him. At a diner, I slid my phone across the table. He stared at the screen. A pie spinner clicked behind him, and a server kept refilling water we didn't touch. He said he had felt something was off for weeks. He paid, went home, and confronted her. Later, he said she reached for the usual lines. It was a mistake. It only happened once. She loved him. The guy meant nothing. He kept asking questions, and the story cracked. She admitted she had done it with another guy a few months before, and then again with the same guy I had seen when she was working late. He broke up with her that night and told her to leave. For a few days, he sounded steady. 2 weeks later, she begged and promised change. He was lonely, and he took her back. I stopped going over when she was around. I didn't make a big speech. I just kept my distance. He noticed and asked me to meet for lunch. At lunch, he asked why I barely came by anymore. I said he knew why. I wasn't going to hang out around someone who lied like that. He said he forgave her, so it was fine, and asked me to come over that night. I said no. I told him I wanted him to be happy, but I thought she was bad news, and I would rather sit alone than pretend nothing happened. He asked why I cared so much because she hadn't cheated on me. My voice got tight. His did too. A couple at the next table looked over and then looked away. I said if he wanted to sweep it under the rug, that was his choice, but I couldn't unsee what I saw, and I couldn't pretend he hadn't ignored the risk by bringing her back. I said she had already shown how easy it was to lie. I told him taking her back made me lose respect for his judgment. We sat in silence. Then I paid my half and left. The TV was up, the takeout bag on the counter was still warm, and a pair of work boots sat by the coffee table. That night, he texted asking if I really thought she was a horrible person. I said yes, I hated what she did, and I hoped he would leave her, and until then, I would keep my distance. A few mutual friends went to a small get-together he hosted. He kept trying to pull them into a conversation with her, and they kept finding reasons to step away. They didn't say it to his face, but later they told me they didn't trust her either. After that, he and I barely spoke except for short check-ins about work or bills we split. Yesterday, he called me and said he had kicked her out again. He sounded tired, but clear. He said he only took her back after weeks of begging and promises to earn his trust. One condition was full access to her phone, laptop, and console. At first, she complied and handed over her passcodes. After a few weeks, he saw changes. She kept her phone face down. He asked to check her messages, and the passcode he had stopped working. He asked about it. She told him to stop policing her and said she had done enough to prove herself. She wouldn't give him the new code. She raised her voice. He stayed calm and told her that breaking the one clear rule broke the deal. She said he was overreacting. He said he was done. He opened the door and told her to leave. She tried to hand him the phone then. He shook his head and told her to pack. Then he called me. I drove over and helped box her things. We filled boxes and set them by the door. The tape guns squeaked, and dust from the empty shelves made us both cough once. He texted his sister to come by when the ex came to pick up so no one would argue. I left before the pickup to get back to work. Later, he told me the ex tried to hug him and ask for one last kiss while pulling a box toward the steps. His sister stepped between them and said no. The ex cried, took a breath, and carried the last box to her car. She backed out slow and sat at the curb for a minute. After her car turned the corner, he called and asked if I could still come by. I said yes, and went back over. The apartment felt extra quiet. We set the last box in the hallway, shut the door, and locked it. He put his phone face down on the table and sat on the edge of the couch. I plugged in the console. He leaned back. We didn't trade speeches. We just picked up controllers and started a game while the hallway stayed quiet outside the door. Now his friends are saying I overstepped by confronting her. Was I wrong?